Hi everyone, welcome to our channel, Rebecca, Stu, and the crew. I'm Rebecca. Today's Thursday, so it's time for our weekly craft video using items from the Dollar Tree, and it will also be a review. So yesterday I found this Crafter Square Glass Etching Cream at the Dollar Tree. I was super excited that I decided to just change directions from the video I had ready. So that's why this video is going up a little bit late today. I had to record the whole thing and edit it for you guys. So I found this glass etching cream at the Dollar Tree. We're going to use that and some of these glass pieces, some stencils, and then we'll be using a little bit of masking tape. We'll need some rubber gloves and any type of sponge or sponge brush. So let's get crafty. So the first thing I did was take these self-adhesive stencils from Dollar Tree. They're the Jot brand, one of their wine glasses, and some masking tape. I'm just going to mask off a straight line across the bottom of the cup. And then I had to decide what to spell out here with the stencils. So since the packaging had Mr. and Mrs. on the front on some wine glasses, I went ahead and decided to just spell out the word bride. Since I only had one of each letter, spelling out like mom for Mother's Day and things like that would have been a little bit more difficult. So make sure you buy a few packages if you're going to be spelling out words, and you're going to need a few more, letters if you need two M's or something like that. So you just want to stick those letters on in a straight line. And then I took one of the feather mandala stencils that I had in another package from Dollar Tree. I actually cut the mandala out and cut it in half so I could put half on either side of the word bride. I really wanted just to see how the stencils in the cream, the etching cream, worked with these smaller, more detailed stencils. So I was just curious, which is why I decided to go ahead and try with the mandala on either side as opposed to the larger letters that are in the center. That way we can get a definite, honest review of how this product actually works. So I didn't want to do this right on top of the table. I wasn't sure how runny the etching cream was going to be, so I just used the Dollar Tree cutting mat and some of these dowel rods from Dollar Tree and the masking tape. And I'm just going to create like a little tunnel basically for the cup to sit in so it doesn't roll all over while I'm applying the etching cream. And that way it doesn't roll over if anyone bumps the table or anything like that while it is, doing its magic that it does. And as you can see, it works really well to keep the glass from rolling around. So the directions say to shake or stir well before using. Apply a thick layer of glass etching cream to a clean glass by the applicator. Didn't come with one. It says to wait for 15 to 30 minutes and then rinse off the cream with water. If the unused cream becomes dry, you can add a few drops of water to thin it out, which I didn't have to do. So I just stirred it up with a dowel rod. It's less than an ounce in this bottle, but it was plenty to do this wine glass, and then I'm going to do a Dollar Tree trivet, which was actually a pretty large piece, and there was plenty of etching cream to do both of those. So I just used a sponge brush. I just thought it was a little bit easier to control where I was putting the etching cream by using a sponge brush, but really any small brush will do. And then I just really mostly dabbed for this one because it was an adhesive stencil and I wasn't too worried about the etching cream getting underneath of the edges of the stencil there. And then just brushed over top of the word bride. So it says to leave the etching cream on for 15 to 30 minutes. I chose to go ahead and let it sit for the full 30 minutes. So now I'm going to take this trivet and this stencil I just got at Hobby Lobby a few years ago. I really liked it. Got it on sale for like 74 cents. And I am going to tape this to the side of the trivet that already has kind of like etching and grooves in it. I wanted to see how it would work as opposed to like being on just a smooth piece of glass. And since a lot of the Dollar Tree trivets do have that groove work on the one side, I was curious to see how it would work with it. So I taped it all around the back to hold it on so that it wouldn't slide around while I was putting the etching cream on. So again, I'm just going to use the same sponge brush here, and then I really just brushed from the center out, and it's thick enough that it didn't really seep underneath of the edges. I mean, I can see in a few spots where it did, but it really didn't seem to matter with this type of stencil. It really just made it look like the leaves were a little bit bigger than what they were on this stencil. So I definitely added a generous amount. I used the rest of the bottle for the trivet just because I wanted to make sure that I had it covered enough. I wasn't sure how it was going to work. I've never done glass etching before, so I wasn't sure what they considered a generous amount. I mean, it didn't look like I had globs of it on, but it definitely looked like it was well covered. I made sure I didn't have a bunch of empty spots and I couldn't really see, clear spots through it. I wanted to make sure I had a frosted look, all the way across the top to make sure it was completely covered. And then I set a second timer for the wreath so that they were both at exactly 30 minutes when I rinsed those off. And then for the water, it just says to rinse them under water. It didn't say hot or cold, so I'm just going to go ahead and use cold tap water. So the first thing I did is I just started to run it under the water before I pulled the stencils off, and I brushed off most of the excess that was right on top. And I just used my finger for this. I didn't use gloves. It didn't burn. I didn't feel anything like that. I didn't have any reaction to it. So I think it pretty much had done all it could do by that point. You do want to be careful. It wouldn't be a bad idea to use gloves for this part too. So then I went ahead and pulled the stencils off. At first I was really disappointed. It really just didn't look like it had done anything. I was like, okay, I don't see anything. But once I had the stencil off and it sat literally like 5 seconds, I started to see a frostiness kind of come up on the surface of the glass. And I was like, okay, it worked, but it's probably not going to be able to see it all that well. It just looks like it's really light. But once I had the stencils off, I ran it back under the water, brushed off a little bit more of the excess. And then I just took a regular terry cloth towel and just dried that off. And then the frostiness of the glass really started to pop up there. So then I really only had a few minutes between the cup and the wreath. So I went ahead and let the cup sit for a few minutes while I rinsed off the wreath. Again, I just got as much of the excess off as I could before I pulled the stencil off. And then once the stencil was off, I went ahead and put it back under the water and made sure I had all the residue off of the glass. And again, it really just didn't look like it did anything. I was really disappointed with the trivet at first because I was pretty sure it had done nothing, especially since it already had the grooved top. And then I rinsed it off a little bit more. And once I pulled it out from under the water, literally like 3-5 seconds, I started to see that frostiness of the leaves pop up. And then here it is all dry. I hope you guys can see it. It really worked really well. I was pleasantly surprised, especially with the groove top there. Here's a view from the back where it's the smoother side. And then I put it on a piece of black construction paper so you guys could see it a little bit better. And then I apologize if you guys could hear that noise. My dog is snoring in the background here. I don't know if you guys can hear him. So anyway, so then here is the wine glass. I wish I would have paid a little bit more attention to when I was putting the etching cream over top of the letters. Since that was my first one, I didn't realize I was dragging the brush and I didn't have it well saturated between the letters. There are a few spots in between where it wasn't as frosted as I would like. There's definitely spaces there, but that just tells me next time that I should definitely pay more attention to making sure it's well saturated and even all the way across. So my thoughts for the etching cream by Dollar Tree is it works really great. I would definitely buy it again, and it was a great buy for $8. I'm super happy with it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. If you enjoyed this DIY video, I do DIY videos that I post every Thursday, so I'd encourage you to check those out. Here's a few that we did the last few weeks, and then make sure you come back tomorrow to see what is new this week at the Dollar Tree. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.